Hey, this is Dr. Mort Orman, and today I want to talk to you about a serious topic. I want to talk to you about pain. Now, we all obviously experience various pains during the course of our life, some minor, some not so minor. And the real question is, how do we deal with our pain? What do we do? How do we cope? I mean, in this broader umbrella, this huge category of problems in life called stress, one big subcategory is all the various pains that we can experience. And I just thought it might be useful this week to focus on how we cope with pain, how we reduce the amount of pain that we experience, and what happens when painful events occur. So, for example, in my own life, I've been blessed in that, at least recently, I haven't experienced a lot of really intense pains. Sometimes I have sort of minor pains that are sort of below the surface, like every time I try to accomplish something, it doesn't work out properly, or I invite people to come to an event and they have various reasons they don't come. At some level, I feel pain inside because it's something I really was hoping they would do, and hoping to be able to share some things with them. But it really doesn't feel like pain. It doesn't rise to a level of consciousness where it kind of interferes with my daily life. But I had an example last week that kind of knocked me down a little bit. My daughter, who had been living at home with us for about a year, left on last week, a week ago today, on Thursday. No, I take that back. It was 4 or 5 days ago. She left to start a new life in Florida, and I remember saying goodbye to her and watching her drive off in the rented car with my wife, and really feeling welling up and feeling pain. And it didn't go away. It kind of stayed with me for most of that day and even the next day. And every time I walked, I saw something in the house that reminded me of her. Every time I walked into a room, that pain, that loss, feeling of loss just welled up in me again. And it kind of, knocked me off my routine a little bit. So, for example, you didn't see a video from me last Thursday and Friday because I just didn't feel up to shooting one. I just didn't have that same normal creative energy that I normally have. And there were other things I was supposed to do on Thursday and Friday that I just didn't have the normal enthusiasm for. So I had a certain amount of pain and a feeling of loss. And, I know in the scope of things, that's not a huge loss compared to things that other people experience or may be going through right now. I mean, people die and get injured seriously, and people can lose their health, they can lose their jobs, they can lose their house. They can lose their spouse. I mean, there's so many major painful things that people can go through. My, little separation anxiety or sadness from, my daughter just moving to another state is minor in comparison, but it was enough to knock me down. It was enough to kind of take me off my normal game. And so so the question I want to pose this week is, what do you do when you experience pain? How do we all deal with it? What are some good ways of dealing with it? What are some not so good ways of dealing with it? Are there really good ways of dealing with it that should be recommended? So I'll share a little bit with you from my own life, and I'll try to give you some insights and just ask you to reflect on this week. What are your strategies for coping with pain? How effective are they? And it's an important part of mastering stress. I mean, in the first place, we want to live our lives so that we experience as little unnecessary pains as possible. Obviously, you can't avoid them all. We're always going to have some to deal with. And then the second part of stress mastery is, well, when you have them and you are overcome to some degree with pain, or you're experiencing pain, what do we do? How do we keep it from knocking us down too far or too long, and so we can get about our lives and continue to do the things we want to do? So continue this tomorrow, and see you then.